Stream of what is your business worth? This is episode number 8, and these have been a lot of fun to put together. I'm Gallagher, founder, entrepreneur. I have been starting to do these live streams for a couple of reasons. One, just to sort of figure out how they work. I enjoy sharing my thoughts. I have a podcast. I like to be pretty active on LinkedIn and share my opinions on all things affecting business and entrepreneurs. I just love small business so much. And these live streams are meant to give entrepreneurs who may not know much about their finances just some insights into how to figure out what your business is worth. My thesis is that if entrepreneurs knew how to look at their business from the perspective of what it's worth, that they would ask questions, and that in answering those questions, they would then discover new opportunities and ways to beat the failure statistic that many entrepreneurs can fall into. And that's the 50, 80, whatever the number is. Most businesses will fail by a number of years in. And so this is my way of trying to not only just work out my own understanding of live streaming and how to do this, but also just to share some really important thoughts. I'm a Gen Xer. In school, we were never taught about RSPs or how to manage our money. And that would have served me well as I became a young adult. And I think the same idea exists with entrepreneurs, that you don't naturally understand how the back of your business works and really what your financials are telling you, which is ultimately your feedback loop for how well things are going. And so these live streams are my way of doing it. I end up taking you through a live example at MLENOW.com. That's emilynow.com, which is a free online instant business valuation tool that you can either directly hook into QuickBooks or you can do it manually and just put in some very basic math, as you're going to see that we were about to do, and then get some valuation. And then if you get a valuation, then if you want, you can set up some notifications to keep you focused on the things that you think are going to increase the value of your business, or not. But let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is emilynow.com. And again, you can go there yourself, nothing magical about it. And what is interesting to note is I launched it less than 3 months ago, and we've had an overwhelming response already. This has been really great to see that over 1,300, almost 1,400 business valuations have been completed. And as you can see, most of the valuations that are being done are by folks that are looking to sell a business. And that makes sense. They're trying to figure out what their business is worth if they wanted to sell it. And then in a second place, entrepreneurs that are operating a business and they're trying to figure out, hey, what do I do with my business? How do I make this more valuable? So if you're online, you can go and do this yourself. You can click the manual tab, or you can go ahead and connect directly to QuickBooks. Just going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see what's going on the screen. So in this particular case, this was someone who had said they were operating a business. They were in the manufacturing business. They didn't tell me what accounting system they're using. They just sent over their results and said, hey, I'd like a critique on this if you don't mind. And so if you've seen the previous episodes, you know that very few people put in the correct math. They rarely understand assets, liabilities, equity, and then when they get to their profit and loss statement, they have a little bit of trouble coming up with the math here as well. But it's enough that you can kind of paint a picture of what's going on and get a sense of what's happening with the business. And so these, for me, to do these critiques is I can kind of, as you can see, I can kind of talk my way through it. And if you've seen enough of these, believe it or not, even if you watched all 8 episodes, you'd end up being able to do this yourself. And more importantly, you'd be able to look at your own business and take what I've shared and figure out how you can apply it. So if we go ahead and we calculate the business value, what we're going to see is that this business is worth about $1 million. And over here, as you can see, it's forever free. So make sure to log in and check this out yourself. I'm going to go ahead and log in myself. Let's see here. How am I going to do that? I'll just use a test email. All right. Wait for the code to come across. There we go. So let's get into the valuation. All right, so here's a business currently worth $1 million, could be worth $1.3 million, $1.3 million. And that means it's leaving about $345,000 on the table as presented. Now I'm just gonna take a little pause here for a minute because as you may or may not know, it's really important to understand that your valuation is driven by how correct your math is. And many small business owners understand that their financial statements are rarely up to date, mostly because they don't use them practically in their business, because they're confusing. There's a lot of information on them. It doesn't always make perfect sense and it doesn't come naturally to them. If you started a business, you probably know your product or service really well, but when it comes to the financial end of your business or your feedback loop to tell you how everything else is going, lots of entrepreneurs struggle with that. So your valuation, how much your business is worth, is driven by how well your financial information has been recorded, bank reconciliations having been done, so on and so forth. Now, don't beat yourself up, because if your financial statements are not up to date and your books are not up to date, that's a good thing. Because if you keep using a tool like emilynow.com and you keep checking your valuation, you're going to see that it arcs in the direction of increasing very, very quickly, because you're going to be aware now that, I got to get my stuff together because I'd really like to see what my business is worth. But don't feel bad if you don't have your information together, because it's not unusual. This is pretty straightforward, and many entrepreneurs struggle with this. So let's just jump back into the valuation. We've got a business here that is worth, based on the information presented, it's worth $1 million. Could be worth $1.3 million, just over $1.3 million. And it's a manufacturing business, which means some of the math we can already see if we compare it to kind of industry statistics, is that the business should be generating about $82,000 worth of profit, and it should be generating gross margin of about $280,000. So what does that mean? That means whatever they sell a product or service for, they might have to buy materials or things that go along with making sure they can make that sale. And then whatever money's left over, that has to pay their expenses, and then they're ultimately left with profit. So this business has about $284,000 to pay for its expenses, and it should be generating profit of about $82,000. So let's zip down and take a look and see if that's actually happening. So right out of the gate, again, we're 8 episodes in, but if you've watched them, you'll already understand that your balance sheet is what does your business own minus what does it owe, and what's left over is referred to as equity. In this case, this particular entrepreneur has said, hey, my business has assets at $1.1 million, but it also has liabilities at $1.1 million. So I think that's a typo. And it has equity of about $850,000. Now, what equity represents is how profitable has your business been since the day it started. There's a lot of other ways to break down equity, but if you just wanted a very simplistic understanding of what your balance sheet is telling you, what does your business own, what does it owe, and then what's left over as equity, meaning how much money has your business made since the beginning of time. And as we can see here, the numbers are not correct. Then let's zip down to the profit and loss statement, because we were told that this business should be generating, a manufacturing business that is doing this kind of revenue should be generating gross margin of about $284,000 and profit of about $82,000. So if we jump down here, we can see it's only making about $549,000 instead of $283,000. So that's really great. But its profit is only $52,000, and it should be $82,000. So if we take a look, yeah, we can see this is great. Debt to equity seems to be in line, although we know that the math is not right. Debt to equity is just one of those very important variables that says, hey, does my business owe more than it owns? The gross margin is how much money is needed to pay its expenses. This business should be generating $283,000. It's generating almost over $500,000. However, it looks like it's off the mark on a profit basis by about $29,000, $30,000. So it's running expenses that are outside of the norm for the kind of business that it is in. And we can see here, $1.1 million of revenue, $560,000 of cost of goods, leaves the business about $550,000 to pay for its bills. Its expenses are $242,000, which leaves profit of $52,000. Again, let's just zoom in here because I think you can see that that doesn't make any sense. Oh, maybe too much. A business that has $549,000 of gross margin and only has expenses of $242,000 would actually be generating about $300,000 worth of profit, which is enormous. So something tells me that in this particular analysis that the financial statements are not correct. If I had to guess at what is correct, I would say the revenue is probably correct. So how much business does this company generate? And at $1.1 million, that looks correct to me. That seems right. I would suggest that the equity in the business is probably correct. Probably, if I had to guess, and assets of about $1.1 million, that might make sense for a business that's generating this kind of result. So what would I say quickly here? I think what I would say is, again, depending on your particular business and your particular needs, here's a business worth $1 million with some cleaning up. It looks like, based on revenue and it being a manufacturing business, it should be worth about $1.3 million. So there's $345,000 sitting on the table for this entrepreneur to capitalize on. And if I was them, of course, I would sign up for Emily. I would turn on my notifications, and I would make sure every single day I'm being reminded that I've got to focus on getting my financial house in order so that I know what I need to actually work on. If it's true that this business is generating $250,000 in profit and the industry bar is only $82,000, that's a very, very attractive manufacturing business. And maybe there's something unique about it. Maybe it has a unique product that it manufactures and it doesn't compete heavily with other products, and so it's able to get a better profit margin out of what it's doing. Or on the other side, the math could simply just not be correct, and that, of course, is a possibility. If you're an entrepreneur, you know that finance and bookkeeping and that sort of thing isn't maybe the funnest job to do, probably not the most interesting either. However, if you treat it as a feedback loop and you use a tool like emilynow.com to understand how your business is doing, it really will change your perspective. And I know for my portfolio of businesses, I'm a subscriber to Emily Now. It's free. And I get a notification every day that just reminds me, hey, here's the gap between what your business is worth today and what it should be worth based on industry standards. And here are the things that you need to focus on in your finance, operations, and sales and marketing departments. And so I hope you find that helpful. Again, your balance sheet, what do you own, what do you owe, what's left as equity. Equity refers to how much money has your business made since day one. How your business acquires assets is because on the profit and loss statement, it sells a product, it pays for its expenses, and it has profit left over. With that profit, it either reinvests it back into expenses or it goes ahead and it starts purchasing assets. That's kind of the basic math involved in your business. So if you haven't done so, make sure to hit the notification button, subscribe. I try to do these valuations once a week, usually at the beginning of the week before I get going. And so it'd be great if you ended up joining these live streams as I recorded them. You can always obviously see them later. This is episode number 8. So if you go back to the previous episodes, you're going to hear my analysis on other businesses that in some cases did put in the correct math, in other cases didn't, but you get a little bit of a breakdown. And the idea is that if you hear this enough times and you hear it succinctly and simply, that you're going to be able to go into your business and you're going to be able to make sure that you are building something that is valuable, and that maybe you would use emilynow.com to help you do that. So thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe, hit the notification button, reach out to me. I'm a pretty easy guy to get a hold of, very active on LinkedIn, and a little bit less active on Twitter, but certainly those are the best 2 places to connect with me, and my email address and everything else is in the notes. So I look forward to connecting with you and learning about your business.